Hi, my name is Manish Gupta, and in this video, I'm going to talk about this model called as VideoPoet. It's a large language model for zero-shot video generation. As you can see from this title page picture, it can the VideoPoet model can actually take all different modalities of input, like text caption, or an image, or some depth and optical flow masks, or even a masked video, right? And it can actually generate videos from all of these inputs. So therefore, it can be used for various kinds of video generation tasks like text to video, image to video, stylization, outpainting, video to audio, and so on. Okay, so let's get into details about what all can this model do, what all can VideoPoet do. So the first task it can do is zero-shot video generation, and by default, it generates about 2-second long videos. So you can see so interesting videos that you can see. They are 2 seconds. Of course, they are playing in a repeat mode. So two pandas playing cards, very realistic videos, right? In that senses, or an astronaut riding a galloping horse, and so on. So you can basically see all different kinds of things, the more realistic kind of things versus more of a cartoon kind of things, a tree walking through the forest tilt shift. It can also be used for video to audio without using any text as guidance. For example, here is an audio that can be generated for this video. So this video was created using this prompt, a pink cat playing piano in the forest, and here is the audio around that. It's a short 2-second clip. Right? Similarly, for the Orient Express driving through a fantasy landscape oil and canvas, here is the audio that got generated. Right? So it can also be used to create visual stories. So for example, I'll play some seconds of this video. This is available on YouTube. So this video is a movie. It's a 1-minute movie composed of many short clips. These short clips were, of course, generated by VideoPoet, where the actual script was actually written by Bard. It sort of predicts 1 second of the video output, given an input of 1 second video clip. So therefore, it can actually generate infinitely long very long videos in that senses, right? So in the paper, they sort of talk about, and also on the demo page, they basically show about a minute, 2-minute kind of videos as long videos. So it's an interesting story. I'll just play for some time.
In the Amazon raccoon forest lives Rookie the raccoon and his family. Rookie loves to play soccer with his friends, collect acorns from the trees, swim in the river, and catch fish. But what he loves most is exploring new places and sniffing new smells. Except he's never made it out of the vast forest. Every night he dreams of seeing exotic places like Times Square and the Golden Gate Bridge. One day he sees a portal of yellow light, and his curiosity makes him step inside. Suddenly, he's falling through a long tunnel which takes him to Paris. I've never seen anything like it, he says. And then to the Great Barrier Reef and even the South Pole, where he makes some new friends, before visiting the ISS and ultimately the planet Androida, where the locals didn't speak raccoon, which makes him miss the raccoon forest, and especially his family. Rookie quickly finds his way back home. He's so happy to be back with his friends, but also grateful for his adventures. I guess he's not such a rookie anymore.
So it was such an interesting story. Now, this model can also be used for visual narratives, where basically prompts can be changed over time. So essentially, the first prompt using which this particular video was created was a walking figure made out of water, right? And then you can actually have the same consistency. So you could actually improve your prompt and write a little bit more. Walking figure made out of water, but lighting flashes in the background. Purple smoke emits from the figure of water. This is basically the transition that can be smoothly handled because it can actually do visual narrative because there is so much of consistency in that senses. Similarly, this is another example. This is a video which was created using this prompt: 2 raccoons on motorbikes on a mountain road surrounded by pine trees, 8K. And then you can actually augment to that prompt. Meteor shower falls behind the raccoons and so on, bringing in that meteor shower effect, but also ensuring that there is consistency. The model can also be used for controllable video editing. So you could basically edit a subject to follow different motions, such as dance styles that you see here. It processes the same input clip. So this is the input clip. The first one is the input clip here. It was created using this prompt, a raccoon dancing in Times Square. And then these are basically, output number 1, 2, and 3. trying to sort of imitate or showcase these dancing styles, robot style, gritty style, or freestyle in that sense. Okay. Further, it could also be the VideoPoet model can also be used for image to video generation. So essentially, here is the image, input image, and this is the video, again, input image and the video, a yawning video, and all of them are created using these interesting prompts, a woman yawning or a geyser spraying water into the air or white milk splashing in a ring, a drop above the ring falls down, making a splash, right? So basically here the input consists of an image, the first image of the video, first frame of the video in that sense is, and then the text caption. Right? So it can be used for image to video generation also. Right? Further, it could be used for zero-shot stylization. So essentially, you can where the idea is that you can actually give this input video and express a text style. So you could express the style here by saying wombat wearing sunglasses holding a beach ball on a sunny beach. So really look at how this thing basically became sky glasses and how the stone actually became the ball, right? And then how there's a beach effect that comes in that senses. So that's that. Another one is teddy bears ice skating on a crystal clear frozen lake. So, the road sort of becomes crystal clear frozen lake, and their shoes basically become nice ice skates. Okay. Similarly, the last one, a pink and a blue confetti geyser with candy coated trees. So the interesting part is that yes, it can do zero-shot stylization, take an input video, take a style prompt, text prompt, and then create a output video which follows that prompt. Now further, it can also be used for applying various visual styles and effects. Like for example, in this case is pencil art, this is ink wash, this is double exposure, as you can see. And it can also be used for zero-shot controllable camera motions. So as you see, this is zooming out while you see this one of them is spanning to the left. Yeah, this one is spanning to the left. Then there could be arc shots like this, or there could be crane shots and FPV drone shots and so on. Okay. So VideoPoet is very interesting model. In fact, it's a state-of-the-art video generation model. What is the architecture of this model? So of course, the architecture of this model broadly is a transformer. It's a broadly transformer-based model. So it mainly comprises of three main things. One is modality-specific tokenizers. So it can actually accept all kinds of modalities. So text modality, video modality or image modality, and also audio modality. So the input is bidirectional attention prefix in the sense that the input encoder is bidirectional in nature, while the output which is generated from here, it's autoregressively generated. So the output is autoregressively generated, the input is bidirectional encoder in nature. Okay. So it has modality-specific tokenizers. In fact, it also has these extra delimiters or special tokens which are used to separate out these modalities in the input. So there's, of course, a begin of sequence token. There is a task token, depending on what kind of task you're expecting the model to do. So you could be asking it to do, image to video generation or video stylization and so on. So that's basically a special task token, which differs based on the different tasks. There is begin of text input, there are text tokens, end of text input, there is begin of video input, and then end of video input after, of course, visual tokens, begin of audio input, and end of audio input. And then basically the response is generated using this prompt token called as res. Right? So, and then in the output, you don't really, the model does not really create any text response. It generates video response and audio response. And or audio response. So that basically again is delimited using begin and end video and audio tokens respectively until you meet the end of sequence token. Okay. So that's the way the input and output are encoded, or the special tokens are, right? Now the encoding is done using modality specific tokenizers, and then there is a language model. So VideoPoet LLM, and then the third one is a super resolution model. So you take the visual output tokens and then do super resolution so as to basically generate the actual output video or the actual output audio. Okay. Well, for super resolution for the video, the audio part, of course, comes from the audio decoder in that senses. Okay. So let's try to understand how do these modality-specific tokenizers work. Well, for text, they basically use a very simple text encoder. It's a T5XL encoder, right? For image, they basically make use of something called as the MEG-VIT V2 encoder. And for audio, they basically use the SoundStream encoder. So that's the three different encoders used for three different modalities. Images are treated as a single frame video. MEG-VIT encoder sort of tokenizes. So as I mentioned, this works at a 2-second video level. So it tokenizes the 17 frame 2.125 seconds at 128 cross 128 videos. And considering this, it's basically 8 FPS, 8 frames per second. It tokenizes that to produce a volume which is 5 into 16 into 16, which is then flattened to basically get 1,280 tokens. Now, that basically means that when you take a video clip, that's basically 1,280 tokens out there. Now, they encode it using a vocabulary of 2 raised to 18, which is basically about 250,000, a little more than 250,000 in that census. Okay. Now, the audio is encoded using SoundStream encoder, which basically takes the same 2.125 seconds of audio to produce 108 latent frames with a residual vector quantizer of 4 levels. So typically for encoding audio, you use quantization and residual quantization. So it basically is residual vector quantization, 4-level residual vector quantization to make up for the errors in those residuals and residuals of residuals and residuals of residuals of residuals, right? That's that. So so it basically, while predicting audio, you could predict either at a frame by frame or a segment by segment level, or you could basically predict all in one go, but then residual by residual in that sense. So it sequentially, it does the second thing. It sequentially predicts the entire audio clip from a lower to a higher residual vector quantization level. So it first predicts for the lower level, then for the second level, third level, and fourth level. And each RVQ, each residual vector quantization level has a disjoint vocabulary with 1024 code. So basically making a total vocabulary of 1024 into 4 size. Okay. So that's that. Now, that's how the encoding is done. For the decoding part, as I mentioned, they basically use a super resolution model here because if you basically try to output, a very large video, then you would just end up consuming a large number of tokens. So therefore, the number of tokens that are outputted by the LLM are very few, but then it's basically super resolved into a higher resolution. Okay. So the LLM basically gives you a low resolution video, and then you use super resolution module, which is also described in detail on the right side, so as to essentially get the high resolution video. So super resolution module converts the 262,144 way classification into 512-way classification. And let me basically talk about what that means by going into the details on the right side. Okay. So the input for the super resolution module starts from here. So essentially what you get is lower resolution tokens from here, right? From the LLM, basically. And then what you want to predict is these high resolution tokens. As you can see, the super resolution module is basically a non-autoregressive transformer. So it's basically a bidirectional encoder in that sense. Okay. So there is a low resolution tokens. There are also high resolution tokens. Of course, at the output, you want high resolution tokens. So once you get those high resolution tokens, you're sort of done. Okay. Now, the input is conditioned on, or rather the model is conditioned. The model is this multi-axis transformer blocks, right? Several of those blocks. And the input to this is basically, of course, these low resolution tokens and also these text embeddings. So the same T5 text embeddings that you have here, those on the encoder side, those are also passed to this multi-axis transformer block for super resolution. Okay. So now these low resolution tokens can be in this space, the video space, and therefore it's basically around 262,144, 2 raised to 18, right? So that's too much. So therefore what they do is to basically make that vocabulary work in a hierarchical manner, in a 2-level manner. So they have a 2 512-way classification. Of course, that 2 512 way classification is basically used on both sides. It's basically used on the input side as well as on the output side. And that basically, gives you those embeddings after you have done this 2-level of classification in that sense. So basically, you get those low resolution embeddings, you get the transformed high resolution embeddings, you pass them to the multi-axis transformer block. What does this block do? Well, to avoid the large quadratic complexity of the transformer, basically they use a sparse attention mechanism. And then which particular points in the past do you pay attention to? Well, they basically treat video. Video is basically a 3D cube, right? So, and video has 3 dimensions to it. There's a spatial horizontal dimension, spatial vertical dimension, and temporal dimension. So what they want is that each token here should basically pay attention to the previous tokens in the spatial vertical dimension, or previous tokens in the spatial horizontal dimension, or previous tokens in the temporal dimension, right? So that is how they basically compute self-attention. So the self-attention is not computed over the entire green part, entire high resolution tokens, but it's basically computed only on a masked portion in these three sublayers. So basically this multi-axis transformer block actually has these three self-attention sublayers, each of those sublayers taking care of each of those dimensions. However, these sublayers basically also, this block also contains three other sublayers, which are cross attention. So totally six sublayers, three sublayers for self-attention on the green part only, on the high resolution part, on the low resolution blue part, they basically have cross attention. So as you see, these green connections are self-attention connections, these blue connections are cross attention connections. So there is cross attention, which is sort of computed from the low resolution tokens to the high resolution tokens. The high resolution tokens also incorporate information from the low resolution tokens and the appropriate dimensions, as you see, right? Appropriate dimensions from the cross attention perspective. Now, there's also cross attention that plays a role in these cross attention layers from the T5 embeddings. So they also take the T5 embeddings and infuse them via cross attention into the high resolution embeddings. Again, you do k equal to 2, 512A classification, and finally choose the right high resolution tokens to be output. This is basically just one kind of super resolution. They basically do two such stages so as to basically increase the size of their videos, resolution of the videos to 224 cross 128 and then 896 cross 512. So basically it outputs a 896 cross 512 resolution videos, 2-second videos by default, but you could basically take 1 second of the video and pass it as input again so as to essentially get yet another second and so on. So basically generating longer videos. That is how you can generate longer videos. So how is VideoPoet trained? Well, it's trained in two parts, pre-training and task adaptation. So, task adaptation is obvious, but let me talk about pre-training. Remember, it's no fine-tuning involved because zero-shot model, okay? So it's not fine-tuned on specific data sets as such. It's pre-trained via several loss functions. So it's pre-trained using unconditioned video generation, generating video without any prompt. Text-to-video generation, input is a prompt, a text prompt, and the output is a video. Video future prediction. So you give previous frames of video so as to predict the next few frames of a video. Image to video generation, given the first frame, predict the future frames. Video inpainting or outpainting, where the point is you mask out some parts of the video and predict the video with the masked contents filled in. Video stylization, where you basically give an input video and also give a text. The input could actually be video, it could be optical flow, it could be depth, and you want to predict the video frames, right? And then there are audio-based tasks, so audio to video, video to audio, and audio-video continuation task. So audio to video and video to audio are obvious. Audio-video continuation is basically the task where you give previous frames of video and audio and ask it to generate the next few frames of both audio and video, okay? So since there are so many tasks at pre-trained time, basically the task token actually helps tell the model what kind of task it is supposed to do. The model basically generates video tokens at two resolutions, 128 cross 128 and 128 cross 224, at pre-trained time. And both of them, it can generate at two different lengths, 17 frames and 41 frames at 8 FPS, 8 frames per second. So since there are multiple tasks to be done, the training is done in a multitask training manner with alternating gradient descent, which basically means you take those tasks, you group the tasks by sequence lengths, and alternately sample one group at each iteration. So there could be several groups based on sequence lengths, and you basically just sample from each of those groups for pre-training. This model basically involves two-stage pre-training. Of course, there are two stages in terms of pre-training and task adaptation, but actually within pre-training also they do two stages. The first stage, they basically run for 25% iterations, where where they use a lot of image data and little less of video data, 90% images, 10% videos. In the second stage of pre-training, they basically use 90% videos and 10% image data. So this gives them basically better results, right? The second stage of training actually involves task adaptation. Remember, it's not fine-tuning to specific data sets, but adapting to certain kinds of tasks. So basically, they call it fine-tuning, but it's more like task adaptation for a text-to-video or image-to-video task using data subsets of the same pre-training data anyway, which are of high quality. Okay, so pre-training is done using around 2 trillion tokens across all modalities. With 1 billion image text pairs and around 270 million videos. So it's not a small job. 270 million videos is crazy large. Basically, some videos are paired with text. Some videos are used for high quality fine tuning. Some of them are paired with audio, but 270 million videos. That's what it's basically used to train the VideoPoet model, and 1 billion image text pairs. So lastly, how does VideoPoet perform? I already showed you some examples, qualitative examples of how it performs. From a latency perspective, if you use a TPU V5 4-chip accelerator set, you can basically generate 5 seconds of video per second. It takes about 5 seconds per second of output video. So to generate 1 second of video, it basically requires 5 seconds of compute time, right? From a perspective of comparing with the existing state-of-the-art models, well, here is the quantitative comparison on MSR, VDT, and UCF101 datasets using metrics like clip similarity, fresh hit video distance, and ImageNet score. What do you see? Basically, you obviously observe that VideoPoet model after the pre-training phase or the task adaptation phase is basically better than any of these models. Fresh hit video distance, lower the better. Other scores, essentially, the inception score and the clip similarity score, the higher the better. Okay. They also tried to get this evaluation done using human annotators, and they found that compared to any other model, they compared with several other models. You see, these are other popular models for video generation. They found that compared to any of these models, uh, on different parameters, motion realism, temporal consistency, motion interestingness, video quality, text fidelity, I mean, how much it is basically, corresponding to the text captions, right? Overall quality irrespective of the text, or how good the motion is, how interesting the motion is, and so on, right? On all of these parameters, they found VideoPoet to be preferred by humans compared to other models. Now, of course, some models basically like Lumiere is better on motion realism. So on some parameters, some models are better, but in general, more broadly on the screen, you see more of green rather than pink. So that's basically, saying that VideoPoet, actually even human annotators has found it to be really good. Okay. So in summary, in this video, I talked about VideoPoet, a state-of-the-art video generation model. It can actually do several tasks, not just video generation. It's a zero-shot video generation model, video to audio as well, without any text guidance. It creates visual stories, visual narratives, controllable video editing, image to video generation, zero-shot stylization, applying visual styles and effects, zero-shot controllable camera motions as well. Okay, that's it for this video. Hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching. Connect with me on my LinkedIn or look at my search on my homepage. Thank you.